Hello everyone, welcome back to Bitcoin Trade. In this episode here, I'm going to go over some news and just talk briefly about the subject. I guess there's a lot of things going on with Bitcoin. Let me see. Let's start off with this. Give me all your Bitcoins. And of course, some people are figuring out that you can get scammed and defrauded. I've already mentioned some of these scams and some of the frauds here. And but it's no surprise, scams exist with U.S. dollars, so it wouldn't make any much, if it existed in U.S. dollars, it exists in Bitcoin. But in this particular article, the writer right there mentions how, the banking system and the credit cards, you're protected and everything. But obviously, this writer has never had any identity theft whatsoever, and you're not protected, okay? What's protected is the credit card companies are protected, okay? The banks are protected. You're actually left out to dry and pretty much just wither away, because the banks and the credit card companies don't really care about you, all right? If you ever had your identity stolen, you'll realize quickly how the credit card companies don't really care, and nor will they ever assist you in your problem. Now, if you had a credit card and someone was fraudulently using it, they're not protecting you. They're trying to protect themselves from paying out that money, okay? But if you're, like, for example, trying to stop a person from opening new credit cards in your name, all right, credit card companies will not help you, all right, in that matter. And then let me tell you who loses out. The merchants lose out, okay? Merchants who hire people, who pay, overhead costs, expenses, their investment, all that, they lose out. So when this writer talks about, credit card as one of the best defenses against financial crime, they're not talking, yes, that is true to a certain degree, because the credit card companies are defending or protecting themselves. They're not defending and protecting you. All right, they're protecting their money, and they really don't care whether you get your identity stolen. All right, it's not their job to enforce this kind of stuff. Although they could do something. I mean, you think, hey, you're issuing credit in my name. You think you would you can do something, right? I mean, what's going on? So this is totally not true. And also for the banks too. I mean, the banks don't care. They'll just take the money from you and say, well, it was fraud. If something happens, the banks will just take the money from your account. That's it. So who's left out in that situation? I have to tell you, if anybody is getting frauded, if there's a fraud committed with a credit card, you could just, you know, if you lost your bitcoins to a credit card fraud, it's pretty much gone. You'll never find that person because he's hiding behind multiple stolen identities. All right, and credit card companies, and nobody cares anymore. Nobody cares. But if you use your banks, you may have a chance. There may be something there because when criminals mess around with the banks, you can get the FBI, Secret Service, whoever. I mean, Homeland Security. Just call all of them. Just call all of them. DEA. Who knows? And maybe they'll take it a little bit more serious because I have to admit I really believe that crime. When there's a financial crime committed, I believe there's a high probability, all right, that these activities are credit card fraud, wire fraud, all these, just you name it, whatever scammers are doing, they're tied to organized crime. And these organized crime, all right, they're not, I don't know how big they are, but chances are they could be unknowingly funding a terrorist organization. So, so you know, this is definitely something that FBI, maybe even the CIA, NSA, Homeland Security really wants to crack down on. And I mean, I don't know what to say, but there's the scammers who are behind this, they truly believe that they're untouchable. But I think they're going to find out that nobody's untouchable. And they may find out the hard way, unfortunately. So that's my comment on this. Give me all your bitcoins. So, anyways, so credit cards really don't protect you; they're protecting themselves. Okay, and the people who get left out are merchants, or someone that, or in this case, it would be you guys, since you sent your Bitcoin and someone defrauded you through a credit card. Um, so so that's kind of what I recommend. If you can use a bank, and there's a lot of ways where you can filter out a lot of the scammers, um, because first of all, scammers don't have money, so they'll never, first of all, they'll never wire you any money. Um, Although I did come to that problem, but here's the thing: when you commit wire fraud, it's totally different than committing credit card fraud, um, because that's a serious crime. That's a serious, uh, I mean, that's a serious crime. You can definitely call and just mention if there's anybody who's been a victim of this sort of thing with your Bitcoin. You can definitely call the FBI, Secret Service, Homeland Security, or something. Let them, and just mention terrorism. I think these people are funding terrorists. Why else would they try to steal my Bitcoin, right? So now that Bitcoin's been legitimized, people can do that now, and I think you're going to see these scammers, their avenue of crime is getting smaller and smaller and smaller, and they're going to be funneled and forced out of Bitcoin. There's not going to be a lot of room for these guys anymore. So there's a scammer right there. Anyways, go ahead and read the article. A lot of good stuff to talk about, but credit cards and banks are not really interested in protecting you. They're strictly interested in protecting themselves. So okay, hold on. I'm gonna cut out and I'll be right back. All right, sorry about that. All right, so that's that. And I see a lot of things happening here. Let's go on to the next article that. Oh yeah, this is kind of nice. I didn't realize there was a representative out in apparently in Clear Lake that was all into Bitcoin. But that's something that's kind of related to Dallas News, of course. I'll get to that a little bit later. And then, okay, here's another one. Why are Bitcoiners going to jail for money laundering while big banks walk? And that is a good question, because I did mention it in my other videos. If you've seen those episodes, how big banks are basically money laundering right now with major drug cartels. Who knows? They may be even money laundering terrorist organizations. I mean, these are this is serious, and yet we're focusing on Bitcoin. But like I said, I've always said this: if it exists in U.S. dollars, it will exist in Bitcoin. But I did mention this, and I am telling you, like, banks don't care about you; they only care about their money and themselves. So they will take anybody's money. They'll even take money from people who are trying to kill banks, all right, and bankers. That's how greedy some of these guys are. But oh well. I think after a while, people who are issuing, well, if Bitcoin goes away, I think it's going to go. I'd say all the scumbag crime, terrorists, and murderers, they can launder their money at the banks. You know, I think that'd be the only people left: money, terrorists, murderers, criminals, killers. Um, those would be the only people that would be left behind using a banking system. Everybody else would be will be using Bitcoin. So yeah, have fun. I like to see how the bank handles all that. Let me see here. Here's another one. Oh yes, this poor man. But from the article that I read, the guy wasn't too upset. He was probably one of the early adopters of Bitcoin. But what I don't understand is, for a guy who's has that many Bitcoins, why on earth would he ever turn it into real physical Bitcoins? There's a gentleman's name, and has been trying to exchange the digital currency for physical Bitcoin. So I have to warn you, I think this guy found another person online on a Bitcoin forum. And my personal feelings, if you haven't seen my previous episodes, go look them up. I haven't really just described them that well. It's 1 through whatever it is now, but Bitcoin Trade 01 and up to date, whatever. But I did mention that turning these into physical coins is it would negate any utility Bitcoin has. At this point, if you're going to turn your Bitcoins into physical Bitcoins, you might as well just go ahead and just buy gold. Don't waste your time and effort in doing this, and you might get your Bitcoin stolen, unfortunately. But depends how serious it is. If it's really worth that much, and that was worth the stolen value right now, I mean, that could be a serious crime. You can definitely call some authorities. I mean, don't be embarrassed. Obviously, this guy hasn't. He's been calling authorities in the UK. And like I said, when you see things like this, it's going to get harder and harder for these criminals. I don't know. They may start spending it. But here's the thing: is if now that Bitcoin's been legitimized, and you can openly go out there and do all this, you can. It's going to get harder for people to come out with this kind of amount of Bitcoins and not raise an eyebrow. It's just going to get weird. Like, you have this many Bitcoins, what are you going to do? You have to do a couple things. You're either going to spend it, which you can. I guess these guys can really spend it. But then again, as this thing becomes legitimized, you have to account for your Bitcoins. So, and trying to sell this, like, who would sell this? Now that we don't have to, just, do this like it's underground, and we're going to buy this in cash and cash only. I get hit up so many times for cash and cash only. Here's a clue that, if it's a couple $100, not a problem. When they want to sell you like $10,000, $40,000 worth of Bitcoin, and they want it all done in cash, you have to say, whoa, wait. Tell you what, why don't you go to the bank, provide some IDs, and deposit that into my account? And they don't want to do that, of course, because they might get flagged. They themselves might get flagged. So it's just going to get harder and harder for these guys to cash out. So, all right, hold on. Let me cut out here, and I'll cut back in.